Okay.
Oh.
Okay, we are technically live. Oh yeah. Okay. Now I just need to see. Now I just need to see where the link is.
Okay.
Damn. I literally have the worst way of doing this, but whatever. Now I.
By the way, are we doing this like free flow so we don't interrupt each other or what?
No. I think we can interrupt each other. In fact,
Okay.
we should probably change the calls so we don't get interrupted.
Okay.
Fuck.
Wanna switch over?
Yeah. Let's go.
And we're back.
And we're back, baby. Okay, I'm gonna ping everyone. Okay, dude.
Okay, we're ready to roll.
We're ready to roll, and if no one's listening, I don't care. I don't care!
Someone's gonna listen to it eventually, right, guys?
Yeah, eventually. But they're gonna miss it, dude. They're gonna miss the funny.
Yeah, they're not gonna be in it for the moment.
Well, it's fine. They can catch up later. So,
Yep.
basically, okay, let's start now. Welcome everyone to the funny Daybreak podcast by B and crew. Today, we're having a very special guest, you know. He's called Zealrot. And not Cobra. Cobra is hereby banned. he interrupted us. I'm sorry. No, I will never forgive him for this. But yeah, we have Zealrot today. He's been a QA for the team for quite a while now. Actually, how much? A year?
Yes, something around somewhere around there. I joined last year, like near the tail end, I'd say, more like.
What do you mean last year,
After
dude? You
July.
joined in 2021, man. You popped off.
Well, I joined the server in 2021, didn't I?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did join
I-
the server in 2021. As for the team, I guess, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I joined the 2022 at the later half. I wasn't active in the Discord until like the later half of last year.
B, why did you block me? Because you were spamming with messages. Do not ask again. Also, hello to everyone who joined
Hello.
and is currently watching. So yeah, our guest today is Zealrot, and we're gonna talk about very funny topics. You know, definitely not controversial, and hopefully, you know, we don't get into much drama. But the main theme is to have fun. You know, to have a conversation. You know, because sometimes podcasts are a little too rigid, too many questions and fucking, you know, interview like structures. So for sure we need to spice it up a little, you know.
Yeah.
And first of all,
let them know what's happening behind the scenes, you know.
exactly. Let them know who's cooking, you know. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay, so first of all, what is your favorite visual novel? And if you have one, you must have three. You know, three you like.
Oh yeah, three is a magic number, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the magic number indeed.
Yeah, if I had to list top three, I'd go with like Magikoi, Daitoshukan, and then on the top, my only 10 voted so far would be Aokan X2.
What? Imagine. Okay, man. But what do you mean like Magikoi? Actually, now I'm curious.
Well, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically, I just really like the flow of it. I like the writing and everything about it. But there's something about it that really sucks me into that visual novel, and the all of the fan discs, the A discs. Something about it just like is like I've described it before as like crack cocaine. I don't know why, but once I start reading it, I just get enthralled.
What else?
Out of the three, it's the hardest to describe. Daitoshukan, I really like the characters involved in it. I find it really entertaining. I also like how it the whole visual novel revolves around trauma and like characters dealing with personal issues. I think it's done in a very tactful way, which is kind of unusual. Usually when you have like those types of themes involved, the visual novel is kind of a nakige, very over the top dramatic. But it's more subtle here.
It's funny how you mentioned that.
Appreciate.
I mean, Daito Shokan is definitely considered one of the weaker August titles. If I had to, rank them from best to worst, I guess. We're currently reading Eustia, him and I, just so everyone is following. Zealrot cannot read Japanese fluently, but he can actually follow these stories quite nicely. He can actually recognize voice patterns so well. He can, follow up stories really nice, and we're doing Eustia right now, right? What do you think so far of Eustia? Like, is it poggers, dude? Is it better than Daito Shokan?
I'd have a hard. I've thought about this, and I wouldn't necessarily pit them against each other because I think that they're wildly different from one another. Eustia has like very good writing, like, which is kind of ironic coming from someone who can't read a lick of it. But like in terms of like both the plot and the more so how the well crafted the world is, it's very impressive in that sense. And also it has like a nice protagonist that doesn't make you tear your hairs out, which is kind of rare with visual novels.
Yet.
Well, we're almost to the end, but I don't think we're gonna see some bad protagonist moments.
Oh yeah, no. So far it's been really nice, reading that. I mean, we all know that Eustia is the golden baby of August, and then everything else is quite garbo in comparison. But I guess the ranking is Eustia, Senmomo, Daito Shokan, I suppose 14 Arterial, and then Yoake. So it really depends on what people think. But I think that's the general consensus of August games. Plus they're all the same. Ladder-like structure.
Well, Daito Shokan isn't, but...
Oh, Daito Shokan isn't actually? Oh, I don't remember that
it's like heroine routes, and one of the really good things that stand out to me is that you have like... after completing the quote-unquote true route, you have true routes for all of the heroines, which is a nice touch. If you have a specific one you prefer over the others.
If only that was true in the other games. I mean...
Yeah, that's an issue we've come across with Eustia.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in 14 Arterial too, where... Well, fortunately, the main girl of that game, Erika, is definitely the best out of all of them, right? In my opinion, even though all of them are bad. Like, all of them are bad, right? But the least shit of them all is Erika. But, having canon routes for everything is poggers and very appreciated. I cannot say the same for Eustia, but at least for Eris, one of the characters. But taking her aside, the rest are decent, it's decent. Respectable. I mean, how long have you been reading visual novels, man?
Oh, before we get to that, also to mention Extra 2, since that was the last of the three.
Of course.
The reason why I sing its praises so highly and why it's the only 10 on my VNDB list is mainly due to the fact that I would say that Aokana, the main game, is like pretty good on its own right. Like, it covers a lot of bases. It has good music, decent writing, a not terrible protagonist. Like, the protagonist is kind of hit or miss due to the nature of how he's written. And then with the heroines, like, you have usually the consensus that Misaki is the best, and then the others are kind of neither here nor there,
which
for
is
the most
true
part, except for their ardent defenders.
Of course.
That aside, Aokana, the main game, at first it seems like the flying circus, the sport that everything revolves around, is kind of half-baked. Like, it seems very rudimentary and simple. That gets elaborated a bit in Misaki's route, which I appreciated. It made sense in a way. And then I feel like with Extra 2, it was kind of surprising, but they really stepped up in terms of how the sport could evolve and what the writers can do with it. In the main game with Misaki, it felt very gimmicky, the solution they come up with fighting against the rival. But in the fan disc, the Extra 2 fan disc, the strategies evolve immensely compared to the base game, and the actual action sequences where they're participating in the sport are very hype, and the music is also stepped up a notch. So that's really what caught my eye.
Well, there you go, guys. Buy Aukana 2 now, or will never be your real mom. Is what you're trying to say. I mean, no, and as I was asking before, man, how long have you even been around these degenerate PowerPoints?
Oh, well, I've stumbled upon visual novels way back in the past, almost around back when Kato Shoujo was more prominent. However, back then, while I knew that visual novels existed as like a format, I didn't know that they were like such a big part of otaku culture, and that for instance, I didn't know that a lot of big anime, like prolific anime, were based on visual novels. I thought it all came from anime and manga. I was surprised to hear that Steins Gate and Fate were based on visual novels.
Oh, you're one of those. But, the Steins Gate anime finder.
Yeah, exactly. And I rediscovered. I felt nostalgia because I read Kato Shoujo way back when, and I went back to it at one point, and that's kind of when I discovered that there was more to visual novels. And in recent years, I've enjoyed quite a lot of them as a post-work hours activity. And as I got into them, I got more involved with the community, and eventually I started chatting on the server, and here we are today.
Also, for those who don't know, we are in the Daybreak Translation server. Well, everyone who's listening is in the server. But anyways, tell your friends, your family. I want that funny number going up, dude. It's everything I want.
Exactly.
You were like in the server for what? Like half a year until you decided to join the calls, and one thing led to the other, and you ended up being one of the QAs for the team, didn't you?
Yeah, I tend to lurk around places, and then if by some weird or like random occurrence I decide to join in on a conversation, I usually stick around.
Actually, were you surprised to know that I was not a native and doing translation, and this applies to most translators who are doing work right now?
Well, I was surprised to see. I'd say I'm surprised. I was surprised to see that there were more. The amount of people that weren't Americans who were interested in visual novels, because I had assumed that there would be mostly Americans, since it seems like localized visual novels are geared towards an American audience, but it seems that most Americans that peruse them are less involved in these communities.
Yeah, definitely less outspoken. As far as I'm aware, a lot of the people who actively participate come from Europe, Arab countries, and anywhere but America.
Southeast Asia specifically. A shout out to all the Southeast Asians. There's a lot of them in the community.
Shout out to the Indonesians/Filipinos listening in, or that will listen in eventually when we post the video up. Dude, I think they are 40% of the people who follow us. The other 40 is Americans, and then the rest is Brazil and the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look, now that it comes to the topic of non-natives, do you think non-natives should even translate things in the first place? And I mean non-natives in the sense of not Europeans/North Americans. Do you think anywhere outside of Europe or North America, they should be able to translate into English, or do you think nah, no way?
I think they could. I think that it's more a question of proficiency rather than nationality. I mean, the issue is that your up against a slope. Usually, if your native language isn't English, because that's just an extra language you have to learn on top of Japanese. But you never know what a person's circumstances are. For example, for myself, I learned a lot of English growing up just watching cartoons because for some reason I was very much a fan of watching Cartoon Network, which was untranslated on television. Just for like clarification, I'm Eastern European, so yeah, English is not my native tongue, but I got interested in English, and I learned a lot of it offhand just through watching a lot of television growing up. So I think that as long as you have the necessary qualifications in terms of wielding both Japanese and English, or to whichever language you're translating to, you can translate. You have to also, as you go, you will learn a lot about translating in and of itself. And I think that, as you agree with me, translating is a whole skill set of its own beast.
Yeah, translating is one thing, and then enduring the criticism is another. It goes hand in hand.
Fan translating on its own is a topic.
I think, let me see. Ajay Sharma says, how do you start learning Japanese? I mean, look, I just one day decided that I had enough. I downloaded Tai Kim's guide, and I self-studied for 6 months and then went to the academy for 4 years. And that's how I gave myself a base of visual novels. I also paired this with translation on my free time. I averaged around 3 hours per day of practice for a couple of years, maybe 3. I never ended up releasing anything that I worked on, but eventually, through repetition and pain and suffering, you come to understand how the language works. You just need to invest a lot of hours into it, an ungodly amount of hours.
And as someone who has attempted to learn other languages and has failed at it, I will tell you that just because you've learned a different language doesn't necessarily mean that you can learn any other language.
True.
It comes down to desire most of all, and enthusiasm. If you feel like it becomes a chore to learn a language, I feel like you're just destined to fail.
Yeah, that, and I mean, what's the point? So most people want to learn Japanese for the media, but to be completely honest, I don't know. I don't see the point of it if it's just for the media. If you're gonna learn that language, you really need to find other motivations rather than I want to read the funny game with the cute girls, right? Especially now, because now everything is being translated, and it's difficult to.
I would say that there's enough Japanese media out there that is obscure enough that it might be worth learning the language as a hobby. And there's also the fact that it opens up a lot more than you think. Like in terms of, with English, for example, you'd never, if you don't know English, you'd never know just how big of a chunk of the internet you're missing out on and how much culture you're potentially missing out on. With Japanese, it will also, like any other language, it opens many doors, and it's a matter of whether you think that what's behind those doors is appealing enough to go through the grueling process of studying. The biggest hurdle will be the beginning, probably, because that's where all the most boring, dry stuff comes up. But if you manage to get through that cliff, you're probably well on your way.
Yeah, pretty much just spam monkey, right? It's the TLDR with Japanese. Spam monkey and get good, I suppose. Nah, I can't give any more tips than that. Just just follow the guides. There's like a million guides out there. I bet there's one that fits you.
Yeah, if you're determined enough to learn the language, you will.
I mean, okay. Speaking of Japanese, let's assume you know Japanese, Zealrot. You have mastered the language. You are given the chance to translate any visual novel, whatever you want. What will you do, man? It doesn't matter if it's like, assume even if it's Kamige or Impossible or whatever, just one title, one title that you would say, yes, dude, I want to do this, or I would like this to be translated.
Well, that's a bit of a tough one. Since I am a Magico enjoyer, I might like to tackle the remaining A disc that the Magitio team is not interested in doing.
Oh, so you are a Cobra opinion enjoyer. See, Cobra is our resident editor, by the way.
Cobra has many opinions.
Well, yeah, Cobra has a lot of things he would like to translate, like the capo, the funny magic tree, Kimi no So, the funny never ever game, and well, many others. But I think it includes the Magic Oysters. In fact, he actually asked me once if I would be interested in that, and I'm pretty sure I told him to not. I would never. Personally, though, if I knew Japanese, of course, because I don't. If I could do any title, regardless of Kamiga's status, probably Oretsuba. Yeah, it'll probably be Oretsuba. But yeah.
But personally, I'm not. I'm not of the mind to translate something. If I knew Japanese, I probably wouldn't become a translator. I don't mind. I don't mind working in translation, but I prefer the QA process because it's more like streamlined. I don't know if I have it in me to be the translator for something.
Well, maybe you would like to be a translator, but not for visual novels, right? Maybe something different.
Yeah.
Because I mean, translating visual novels is a chore, right? It's a chore.
It's a multifaceted ordeal.
Oh, it definitely is, man. I mean, you know a lot about the process of how translation works, right? What do you think is like the hardest part of the job you do? Because you QA, but I don't think QA is an easy job either, because you not only have to check two egos, which are mine and the editors, right? You also need to actually correct mistakes and read text that is difficult to polish, in my opinion. It's difficult to find mistakes in it. Let's just put it that way. So what do you think is the hurdles of your job? The pain and suffering.
Well, I'd say as QA, the toughest part is trying not to step on anyone's toes, since you have, as you said, like two people before you who have massaged the text already, and they have their own opinions on what's good and what isn't. But personally, I think it suits me in a way because I'm not overburdened with the task of heavily modifying the text. It's already been through that process. So what I have to do is just find things that have slipped through the cracks, and if I have an opinion about a character's tone or a certain wording choice that might be more fitting or entertaining, I can suggest that and we have that implemented. So generally, I'm enjoying QA.
Yeah, I certainly didn't back in the day when I did it, but that's more of a personal opinion. I mean, it's a matter of ego in the end, right? It's all a matter of ego, funnily enough.
The team matters, right?
Yes, it does matter, don't you think? I mean, I don't know how many teams I've been already through. I've been in like 7, 8 teams, eight renditions of teams, right? Between light novels and visual novels. Back when I fan translated, I still fan translate, but it's a different thing. God, I remember back when I was in the team for Fortune Arterial. No, that was an adventure, right? Yeah, I loved how my translation was shit, and the guy was like, "Yeah, your work is bad, but I don't care," and we just continued existing, coexisting the same habitat, barely talking to each other, until one day he just ghosted me and gave up on the project.
I'd heavily dislike that environment. I feel like in this team right now in Daybreak Translations, everyone who's on board is like more or less passionate about what we do. So there's like back and forth, there's discussion, there's opinions thrown about, and we pick what we think is the best one out of the bunch and we go with it.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's definitely more activity in this team than in others I've been. It's difficult though. Like sometimes you can get good people who are talented together, but things don't click. You need you just need things to click. That's the difficult part of the whole process, right? And I think we were lucky because you know, beggars cannot be choosers in the end. So what we get is what there is. But we're lucky, you know. I think more or less everyone who is in this environment has similar opinions about stuff in the most basic of things, you know. Like we're all human beings, right? Human beings. The funny meme.
Exactly.
So I think based on that, we can actually build something that matters, you know. Then again, how long have we been a team for? Like the original members that are left are probably me, Kebab, and Casual, I guess, and Rob. Yeah, me, Kebab, Casual, and Rob, right? Because the rest left. Like Hata used to be a member of the original team, but he left. Clim Hazard used to be a member, but he left. And you know, people cycle about all the time.
Yeah.
But current rendition of the team has been alive for a year, right? So we'll see how things go. It's a matter of a long-term thing, and also it also depends on if we want to keep working or not, right?
Yeah.
Because sure, my role matters, but everyone's role matters to a degree, you know.
It's not a one-man thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of interest at play when it comes to these kinds of things.
At the end of the day, I think something that needs to be remembered is that this is a fan translation project, which means that the people that are involved are basically volunteering their free time to contribute to the project, and sometimes life gets in the way. Some people can't contribute as much, they get demoted from the team, and sometimes, you know, just stuff gets in the way and projects get slowed down. You never know what's gonna happen, since everyone has their own life. Some people work, some people are studying, and some people just, you know, can't contribute as much.
Yeah, obviously, but well, nowadays when you're looking for people, and this goes for those who are thinking about making groups, which is not a lot of people, but we saw a Reddit thread yesterday, didn't we? So
yeah.
might as well answer the how do you make a group thing. So basically, just find people who are not in college and who are not teenagers either. Like, it's literally that simple. And from there you can build something, because what's the issue with college? 6 months you're not gonna see the height of that person, right? And it's completely understandable, you know, because studying takes priority over funny Chinese games, right? For vacuous e-fame. So I mean, I think most of us are adults here, right? I don't know who's the youngest person in the team. I think it's Lune, and even Lune is past college at this point, right? So I don't know. And the oldest is obviously Cobra. Cobra's like what, 60 years old or whatever.
Yeah, Cobra's like post-retirement at this point.
Yeah, exactly. He's done so, dude. He's done so. But yeah, no, making a team is hard, basically, and it requires time, patience, and a lot of dedication. Because, I mean, besides we meme a lot, we do a lot of we do a lot of fuckery here and there, but in the end, we invest a lot of hours, man. It's a tough job, this one. Especially one where we exchange hours for e-fame, dude. For vacuous e-fame that lasts for 2 days and then we're forgotten again as per usual. But that's fine.
That's how the internet goes. One day you're here, the other day you're forgotten.
True. Hey, but that's part of life, man. You know how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit. It's just how communities work, isn't it? Just you make the funny post, you get the upvotes, and then it's over. I mean,
the good thing is that regardless of how well known you are, the translation that you make for a game, it's gonna stick at the very least, as long as it's not a complete dumpster fire. So you leave a bit of a legacy there in that community. As
long as you don't make a translation for Fate and then your translation becomes irrelevant once another person makes another remake. No, dude, we just need to do the ultimate Kamige. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what needs to be done. We need to do the Cashion games, don't we? Now that's the true Kamige right there.
It's gonna need a couple of more image editors though.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna need 6 at least. 100 images each, dude. Yeah. And then it's gonna need a therapist for us, especially for me.
Yeah.
Now that game would bring e-fame, it's just that It's just that no, I refuse. At least at the
Okay.
current time.
It'd be an epic saga.
God. Fan translation either way is so dead, man. Well, actually, what do you think? Do you think in 4 or 5 years it's gonna be deader than now, or is there going to be a point where the fan translation world balances out with the official releases?
Well, I haven't been in this community for as long as you have, obviously. So it's kind of hard for me to tell, since I in a way I'm lucky that I discovered visual novels so late, because there's so much more translated now than back in the day when you had to choose between reading Fate and 3 other visual novels. But I'd say that it's if it's anything like with anime, where anime used to be like a haven for fan dubbers, for fan subbers, whereas now almost everything is like done through Crunchyroll or some other localizer. Everything is subbed by official companies, official work. I think that Japanese companies are slowly coming around to how the Western audience is a good market to pander to. So they are actually working with localizers more and more. But it's a slow process. I think that there's still games made by companies who are either defunct or just aren't. The biggest driver, I think, for fan translation will be visual novels that don't seem like they might be profitable enough for localizers to pick up, but they're still interesting enough where there might be an audience for them from the fan translation side.
Well, some will certainly remain untranslated. I mean, there's a lot of novel titles, for example, or the light games. Without, I'm not gonna go too far away. Light games are protected, man. Those cannot be touched by neither companies by neither companies, because the company is defunct, and by fan translations either, because there's people who will legitimately go insane.
Put on a pedestal.
Yeah, it's just crazy people. Or Makura, any Makura game in general, save some exceptions, like there's an H2O translation, right? And so far he hasn't received any criticism, so we'll see once he releases how much shit he gets on, but hopefully not. But that's the only thing I pray for.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be that much backlash. I'm not very familiar with H2O, but the only thing I know is that it has easier Japanism than compared to the other Makura titles that are more cherished.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I don't think Sakuta is like the hardest read in the universe either. It just has it has specific parts that are funnier than the rest, that have the big brain moments, and that's it.
Yeah. And here I thought it was an untranslatable comic.
Oh. we both know all about untranslatable comic. We know all about that.
Exactly.
Like, let's say
we're experts in the field.
I mean, what is truly impossible? Let me see. KKK is like impossible in my opinion. Like actually impossible. I don't think that's doable. Unless you obviously sure. Is it doable if you are willing to sacrifice part of the game's plot or funny moments, funny writing in exchange? Yes, but I don't know. If you want to preserve more than, let's say, 60 or 70% of the intent of the work, no, it's not happening. Then I think Koretsuba is doable, but only like a handful of translators could do that shit. Coastal, maybe. I mean, Evan doesn't work on PNs anymore, but that guy could, I bet. Let me see. I think that's pretty much it. Maybe Makoto, the guy who did Muramasa, maybe would be able to do it. But that game is difficult, man. It's not easy. It's just like we've been recently reading Tsuryotsu, and Tsuryotsu is it's doable, but it's definitely hard, man. Like, you would need either heavy usage of translation notes or just mixed translation notes and localization, or just fully localized things, and that would take efforts beyond the normal it would need more hours than your average fan translation of, we're doing Akatsuki no Goe, so we definitely need more hours than what we are spending on Akatsuki right now to give you a clue.
It would definitely be, it's definitely a visual novel that's written in a way where it would be hard to do the translation justice to the original text.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point, it's all about morals in the end, right? Like, do you give a shit if people criticize you for whatever you do? If the answer is yes, then most likely you will not work on it. And if the answer is no, you will work on it. And regardless of the outcome, you've done what you've done. People will like it or dislike it, and you move on,
I would also say that it's also a question of, in regards to the translation aspect, you should ask yourself, okay, this game seems done in a very specific Japanese way with the wordplays and such, and how the text flows, whatever have you. And then think to yourself, can I translate this in a way where someone who's never gonna learn Japanese and speaks English will enjoy this enough to make the whole process worth it? Because obviously, bringing it to an audience, it's all about what do you bring to the audience at the end of the day?
Well, especially to an audience that makes a habit of comparing the text to see if you are wrong. Basically, if you are wrong through their optics, I'll specify.
Yes,
that.
If you don't appeal to their sensibilities.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone, we have the recent. I call it recent, but it's been the usual drama between the quote unquote true anime fans, which is just, if I see any meme in the text, it's Jover, or if I see English that I don't like, it's Jover. And then people who actually advocate for more memes than necessary and more fun English than necessary. There's no in between. Yeah. Well, no, there's in between, but I mean outspoken.
You never please everyone, and I have my pet peeves when it comes to reading translations. But I also, the thing that people don't realize is that if you know Japanese, you're also gonna have pet peeves with the original text in some works. Our friend B here, he has his misgivings with Kinugasa, for example.
Kinugasa is the writer for Akatsuki no Goe, just for reference. Yeah, no, he's a special little snowflake, all right. I love Kinugasa, don't get me wrong. I think his latest work is really good. But man, does his work in Akatsuki no Goe suck dick sometimes. Like, it's actually bad. It's as if I actually put a monkey on a typewriter and just tell him, hey dude, just write me a funny anime story or whatever, and there it goes. Like, it lacks, there's this issue where, this is actually a morals issue, where I see text that lacks critical information or details for it to make sense with the connecting line, right? Both in Japanese and in English. And I say, okay, do I add information and essentially rewrite Kinugasa's original writing, which is originally bad, so it sounds better? Or do I preserve the writing like that, knowing that I will personally be criticized and not the writer, right? Because in the end, the problem lies within me if anything goes wrong, right? I speak, like the writer speaks through me in a way. So, if the text is garbo, then I'm garbo, not the writer. It's kind of a meme, It happens in light novels a lot where there's a lot of people who always say, like, I don't know if the writing is bad or the translation is bad. It's the classic argument of, well, this reads bad, but it could be the writer, or the translator. It's one of the both. Mm-hmm. Well, here we always default to the translator because everyone likes bullying people here, me included. So it happens, I suppose.
Also because what you're criticizing is an English text, and the first thing that comes to mind is who's responsible for the English text, even though it goes through both an editor and a quality assurance person.
Yeah, I mean, look, without going too far, Cobra is someone who holds, in my opinion, very different opinions than I do when it comes to translation. And we do have several arguments every time we check text. I think we end up in 50-50s most of the time, where sometimes I allow myself to make the changes as Cobra wishes, and sometimes I just force Cobra to to just obey my whims and do whatever I want. So
I'd say it's a healthy back and forth for the most part from my observations.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm the more liberal kind of person. Although I still think I'm on the literalist side, while Cobra is a more literal person who prefers, he prefers his classic formulas over the new.
He
new
prefers
order.
his voice lines.
Yeah, his wasei ego, as some of us call it. If he hears waffle in the text, there must be a waffle in the text in English. There is no other way.
Yeah, it's a pet peeve. Everyone has some of those.
Yeah, man, no, that's good, It would be boring to have someone simply tell me, yeah, your text is good or whatever, Just make the fixes and never discuss anything. If anything, it's just boring, I don't like being bored in that sense. I like pain, suffering, and chaos, Chaos is my home.
Of course.
Okay, man. I'm gonna make a couple more questions and then we can close because it's been 40 minutes, but it doesn't there's not a decided length we need to make for a podcast.
The hard limit.
Of course. So the first one is, what is the best girl of any game you've read so far? I will judge you on the answer, by the way.
Hands down, Kata Serena, dude. No other answer.
Who?
Kata Serena.
Kata Serena? Who? Who's
Sujido.
her? Okay. Rena. Oh god, okay. Oh,
Memory unlocked.
pain. No, stop. Dude, I read all of the games of Sujido. What do you mean? I should know that. So you actually write Rena? Like, classic tsunderes and things like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just like her archetype. I could answer with there's like a bunch of heroines that I like. I don't really hold any above the other. I put Ren on the same level as Reika from Akatsuki,
Oh.
I just found her very enjoyable. Also like how you can have her in two personality modes depending on what you choose during her route.
I see Tsundere.
I also really liked
Tsundere is your type, I see.
kind of. I also really liked plot-wise how her route developed the most out of the original three in the main game.
In the main game, yes. Okay, I was gonna say because in the fan disc, I is definitely better. At least in her route, in her true route. I don't speak the same for the others.
Her true route has problems of its own as well.
Yes, of course, but it's the best of them all. If you guys haven't read the fan disc of Sujido, read only Ice True Route.
Well, come on, the new heroines are good as well. What do you mean?
Yes, but if they had to choose one, you know what I mean?
It's just the other after stories that are lackluster.
Oh yeah, the after stories are really bad, but the new heroines are balling, dude. They're buzzing. They're pretty poor.
Exactly.
What about actually? Now that we are reading to the Otsu 2, so Lumine is on track to become a new top spot for Tsundere.
Oh, I need to see more of her. We haven't gotten that far into it, but yeah, she's pretty good. Her music is very good. The background track for this podcast should actually be her theme song.
It is. It's called Sound Illumination. Tsukini Yoriso Otome no Saho 2, for those who are wondering. And then, well, should I ask the last question, Zealrot, or should it remain a mystery forever?
I mean, it's a rhetorical question. Why even ask?
True. I guess we should leave it in the open. So that's it, guys. There's only one concurrent viewer right now, I'm pretty sure. Yes, but to you, concurrent viewer, thank you for watching, and to those who watch the podcast later, thank you for listening in. We had a funny little time, and here's hoping we can continue doing stuff. We'll probably have Zealrot again another day, for sure. Although it'll be nice to have Cobra as well in that call. That's gonna be the call spicier. You know what I mean?
Increase the dynamic.
Of course, increase the probability of chaos. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So yeah, thank you everyone, and see you on the next episode.
Bye.